Welcome to Fun with Fallen Flags, Episode 9. This episode is going to be concerned with the East Broad Top rolling stock and motive power, so I've tagged this one as Part 2, since we've already talked about the East Broad Top once already. I know already, since it's only Episode 9, I'm already repeating myself, so. This is a great cause. If you're not familiar with it, there is a organization that is known as the Friends of the East Broad Top, and their website is www.febt.org. If you're interested in donating time or whatever, then they would love to have your help. I'm not going to turn this into a commercial, but it is a good cause. Anything that has to do with historical preservation, I'm all about. So I think that's great what they're doing. So they have a website. Use it. Go to it. They are working on stuff October 6th, 7th, and 8th of 2018. So if you watch this after about a week from today, none of that's going to make any sense. So ignore that. Otherwise, if you're going to watch this in the next couple of days and you're in the area, by all means, reach out to them. Go to the website, get the contact information, get the phone number, get the email address, get in touch with them, and they will definitely love to have your help, either part of that time or otherwise. If you can't and you still want to help, then most definitely reach out to them and see how you can help them otherwise. They do have an online store, which is kind of cool, and some of that stuff has actually hobby stuff on it, which I thought was really cool. But also, there's an opportunity for you to donate, charitable donation or whatever. So look them up. Enough on that. Last order of business is that I do have a YouTube channel that has all of these videos on it. Please subscribe if you're interested. I also have a Fine Art America website with some of the historical information that we talk about. Also, some of the photographs that I've taken on my outings. I just got back from a trip to Ouray and went through Sargent's and Gunnison, and they have a cool museum there. And we spent some time on the ground in Ouray. That was pretty cool. So please check out the YouTube channel, the other videos, or the Fine Art America link that I have. If you go to my website, it's on the intro or the trailer. It's www.modelrailroadartist.com. Please go there and check it out. All the links are on that one page, so you don't get lost. So, okay, on to business. The East Broad Top Railroad was a narrow gauge railroad, so a lot of the equipment we're going to talk about on the hobby side of it now is narrow gauge equipment for the most part. So as far as the tractive power, the caboose, boxcar, etc., etc., etc. So please keep in mind that I focus on narrow gauge HO, but let's talk about some of the other scales first. I've seen a lot of stuff on narrow gauge ON3 stuff. I've seen some stuff in SN3, even though not as many modelers model in SN3 as they do in HO or some of the other gauges. There's also, I've seen East Broad Top stuff in G scale for garden railways or indoor G scale. So it is available, but I tend to focus on HO, so the list I'm going to go through is going to be all HO stuff. So the first manufacturer that I'm aware of is, and this by no means is an inclusive list, so please don't hold me to that, Funaro and Camerlengo. I don't know if that's pronounced right. I believe it's probably pretty close. So they make a tank car for, these are all East Broad Top. They make a tank car, a steel braced box car, a wood box car, flat car, an older style gondola made by Billmeyer and Smalls, also a stock car. Blackstone Models makes a hopper. You could probably use some of their other equipment like flat cars, you know, an undecorated flat car. You could use something like that and just letter it for a East Broad Top. Another company, I saw something online, CB&T shops, there was an East Broad Top hopper. It looked like a single piece cast, which I don't know if it was, but it's as far as the hopper goes, I believe it was. The Funero and Camerlengo, their hopper, they made a hopper that was a single cast plastic hopper, resin hopper, and I believe that's a newer innovation, that the earlier one that they made wasn't a single body piece. So FYI, might look at that. Some of the kits have wheels on them and are included, but usually they're not. So you're going to have to look and find out what type of size wheels and size trucks and style of trucks that are going to be on there. So as far as anything like, oh, there's one other kit. There was a hopper that it was either Glorcraft or Quality Craft. I tried to hunt it down online and I was having a little trouble with that, but I do remember seeing that in stores. And other than that, as far as engines, that's going to be a little tougher. Some of the kits you can find, I think you could probably put together a good fleet of the equipment, but engines are going to be tough. Rarely I've seen brass, but again, that's going to be go to one of the good brass dealers online, possibly eBay. If you like bidding wars, go to eBay. And then there's a caboose. I think somebody makes a kit for a caboose, and I couldn't find it. But again, you know, it didn't take me that long to put together a list of East Broad Top stuff that I was able to locate. So just hunting on the web, you can find a lot of equipment out there. You just got to be a little diligent. Ask around at your local hobby shop, any of the modeling clubs that you're in, you know, whatever. So that should be it pretty much for the hobby side. As far as the buildings and structures, we kind of went over that already, but there's a lot of exterior plans. I know that the Friends of the East Broad Top sell some of the plans. I know if you look in the Library of Congress, you can find almost the exact same, if not the exact same plans on some of those, but you may be able to find different versions or maybe additional pages. I know that some of the stuff that you can find online may not be the same resolution that you'll get with the Friends of the East Broad Top. So keep that in mind. But again, look around. I also know that there is a ton of publications out there. Go online, see what you can find. Some of the big book sellers. Also, eBay, of course, is going to have stuff out there. I was able to find some stuff through my local library, which I didn't expect. But my local library has this thing which links it into all the regional libraries, and I think there was about 50. And as soon as I pulled that search tool up, I was inundated with things that I could go out and find. So, you know, go to your local library and pull stuff up, take screenshots of it, scan it, whatever you do, as long as it's for your own purposes, then, you know, there's a lot of material out there. You just got to look for it, and you will be able to find it. Sometimes it just takes a little bit extra searching. So, okay. So I think that pretty much covers the hobby side of it and the history research side of it. Real quick, wanted to run through some of the different types of equipment that they had on the railroad. And once that's done, then we'll wrap it up. So let's get to it. Since the East Broad Top Railroad was a predominantly coal hauling railroad, Pennsylvania, you're definitely going to want a good fleet of coal hoppers. Some of these, I know the Blackstone models denotes this same style as a rock hopper. So either way, you're going to want to pick up several of these to get a decent fleet going. wood sided boxcar. This one is a freshly chopped one, so you can see what it looks like when it's clean, and you can see what the steel braced side boxcar looks like when it's dirty. So I would imagine, based on some of the photos that I saw, most of the equipment that was freshly shopped was recent tourist type photos, and some of the old stuff like this tank car, these are definitely back in the era when they were running just deliveries of freight, etc. So not a lot of upkeep. I've got two pictures of two of the East Broad Top cabooses, number 27 and this is number 28. So that looks like a fun project. You could probably modify a kit, if not maybe scratch build it. Wouldn't take too much. It's easy for me to say, right? So passenger equipment, it looks like a lot of the passenger equipment is very unique, and each one seems to have a little bit of a character of its own. So I would imagine that you could probably use a lot of, again, parts to scratch build some of this stuff, but the coaches and the combines are something that I think would be a lot of fun and lend a lot of character to a layout. So this one doesn't have trucks underneath it, but still gives you an idea what it would look like. The East Broad Top number 3 is an 060 engine, so beginning of the motive power. This is an engine that I'm not sure if this is narrow gauge. I think it might be standard gauge, but because a lot of it was dual gauged rails. Number 14 is pictured here. This is definitely a narrow gauge engine. The 282s, number 14, 15, 16, 17, I think number 12 also. There wasn't a number 13. These are all 282s, so you're going to be able to possibly use another mechanism that is a 282 mechanism and make the tender and the body look closer, but essentially this fleet was delivered over a short period of a couple of years to the East Broad Top, so they're somewhat similar. There's always a little different variations in them, but these engines are fairly close. They're all 282 anyway, so you're going to be able to put these together. So you can kind of see from each of the shots that they have a lot of similarities, but they're definitely freight engines, and you can, even though they were used for some passenger service, you can see that they've got a lot of grit and grime and grease on them, so they definitely look like well-worn freight engines. The last motive power is actually a this is number M1. I believe there was more than one of these. I think there was an M4. I don't know how many they had, but this would be another piece of motive. It would definitely add a lot of interest operationally, so I think it would be great to add. Alright, so that gives you a good idea. That last car was kind of cool. It was actually a Brill, is the name of the company, Doodlebug. So I had to go look it up because I thought it looked familiar from some standard gauge car motive power that I'd seen in the past. But anyway, thanks for joining, and I appreciate you making it to the end. Please subscribe if you're interested in watching more videos. This is episode 9, so you've got other ones to check out. I'm already working on next week's on a trip that we've taken and gone out to Western Colorado, checked out a couple of old Denver and Rio Grande Western sites. That was pretty cool, and the leaves are turning, which just made it even better. I do enjoy doing these videos. I'm doing it basically for a learning experience for me, but also to share it with the rest of the hobby. So if you are interested in other ones, you can always send me a suggestion. I'll take that into consideration. We'll maybe even share some information. The problem is it does allow me to get sidetracked, because now all I want to do is model these rods up, and I'm like, no, I can't. I got way too much stuff invested already in time and equipment in what I do want to focus on, which is Denver and Rio Grande Western. That being said, it does allow me to get into some aspects of the hobby that I never would have touched before. So that's kind of cool. It also allows me to share what I discover with anyone out there who wants to listen. So that's good. I do have a criticism for all those people out there who tell me that the hobby is dying, because based on the amount of information that I can pull off the web to continue in a certain aspect of the hobby or shopping, I have one good hobby shop in town here in Denver for railroading, and granted it's a really good one, but other than that there's very little out there as far as walk in the door, go to your local hobby shop and go check out what they've got on the shelves. But with the internet, I can buy pretty much anything I want, and it may cost me a little bit more if I get in a bidding war, but if I'm patient, I don't necessarily have to worry about that. But that's a huge hobby shop. The entire planet is a hobby shop, and I get to go select from anything out there that I happen to need. You know, trees, gravel, cars, tracks, switches, electronics, whatever. So I don't see the hobby dying. I think it's been about as exciting as I've seen it in, since I've started doing this, since I was a little kid crawling around underneath the Christmas tree. Not just the shopping part of it, but the research part of it. And if you think that maybe the hobby's dying, then go on YouTube, type in whatever you think that you want to go explore. You're going to pull out a ton of videos. I was trading messages with somebody who was on episode 124 of his layout construction, and this isn't unusual. This is somebody who is out there sharing and documenting their progress and everything else. Episode 124. That means I missed 123 episodes of this guy's layout construction, and he's nowhere close to being done. He'll go on for another 100 easy from where he was. So I don't know if the hobby is dying to some people. I think it's dying because they perceive it to be dying, and they aren't embracing all the different changes that exist now from where they used to be. The last meetup, the last convention here in Denver I went to, it was immense. I saw every major manufacturer there. I saw lots of little hobby shops from all over town. Folks from Kansas City and Cheyenne and all over the place bringing their stores and putting their equipment on their stuff on tables and basically having opening up the market to the locals here who wouldn't go to Cheyenne and wouldn't go to I don't know, maybe you would. I'm not going to say you wouldn't. So anyway, I think that the folks that feel like the hobby shop is the hobby is dying, that maybe they just need to widen their view a little bit, because this is the most excited I've ever been to be a model railroader than I ever have been in the past. And I've been in a lot of hobby shops, and I bought a lot of stuff and built several different layouts in multiple gauges. So anyway, I'm off my soapbox. Thank you for checking out this episode. Next week's going to be about the Denver and Rio Grande Western, and we're going to talk about some different options as far as fall color, and I'm going to provide lots of examples of fall color in Western Colorado. So if you're interested in that at all, please join me, because there's some really, really cool photos and locations that I had a chance to go to this last weekend. So anyway, see you guys next week for episode 10, and I hope you have a good week in between. Take care.